Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Dheerayate. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead Narayana, unto Narayana Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nashtaprayeshu abhadeshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttamaśloke bhaktir bhavati naishiki. By regular attendance in the classes of the Bhagavatam and by regular service to the pure devotees, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, whose praise with transcendental songs is established as an irrevocable fact. Om Ajnana-Timirandhasya Jnana-Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto them. Today we're looking at Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 10, Prahlad, the best among exalted devotees. And we're reading through 51 through to 70. And today's verse is 710. It looks to me like a G and a Y.
64.
What is it?
64, Maharaj.
64. That's a 4? How do you do it? Hallelujah. Okay. All right. My dear King Yudhishthira, are we all going to say this together?
Yes, Lord. My dear King Yudhishthira, long ago in history, a king known as Maya Danava, who was very expert in technical knowledge, reduced the reputation of Lord Shiva. In that situation, Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, saved Lord Shiva. Maharaj Yudhishthira said, for what reason did Maya Danava vanquish Lord Shiva's reputation? How did Lord Krishna save Lord Shiva and expand his reputation again? Kindly describe these incidents. Narada Muni said, when the Danavas who were always powerful by the mercy of Lord Krishna fought with Asuras, Asuras were defeated and therefore took the shelter of Maya Danava, the greatest of the demons. Maya Danava, the greatest of the demons, prepared 3 invisible residences and gave them to the demons. These dwellings resembled airplanes made of gold, silver, and iron, and they contained uncommon paraphernalia. My dear King Yudhishthira, because of these 3 dwellings, the commander of the demons remained invisible to the demigods. Taking advantage of this opportunity, the demons, remembering their former enmity, began to vanquish the 3 worlds, the upper, the middle, and lower planets. Therefore, when the demons had begun to destroy the higher planetary systems, the rulers of those planets went to Lord Shiva, fully surrendered unto him, and said, Dear Lord, we demigods living in the 3 worlds are about to be vanquished. We are your followers, kindly save us. The most powerful and terrible Lord Shiva reassured them and said, Do not be afraid. He then fixed his arrows to his bow and released them towards the 3 residences occupied by the demons. The arrows released by Lord Shiva appeared like fiery beams emanating from the sun globe and covered the 3 residential airplanes, which could no longer be seen. Attacked by Lord Shiva's golden arrows, all the demoniac inhabitants of those 3 dwellings lost their lives and fell down. Then the great mystic Maya Danava brought the demons into the Nectarian well that he had created. When the dead bodies of the demons came in touch with the nectar, their bodies became invisible to the thunderbolts, and endowed with great strength, they glowed like lightning penetrating clouds. Seeing Lord Shiva very much aggrieved and disappointed, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Vishnu, considered how to stop this nuisance created by Mayadana. Then Lord Brahma became a calf, and Lord Vishnu a cow, and at noon they entered the residence and drank all the nectar in the world. The demons could see the calf and cow, but because of the illusion created by the energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the demons could not forbid them. The great mystic Mayadana became aware that the calf and the cow were drinking nectar, and could understand the unseen power of providence. Thus he spoke to the demons, who were previously lamenting. Mayadana said, "What has been destined by the Supreme Lord for oneself, for others, or for both oneself and others, cannot be undone anywhere or by anyone, whether one be a demigod, a demon, a human being, or anyone else." Narada Muni continued, "Therefore Lord Krishna has own personal potency, consisting of religion, knowledge, renunciation, obedience, austerity, education, and activity. Good Lord Shiva with all the necessary paraphernalia, such as a chariot, charioteer, a flag, horses, elephants, a bow, a shield, and arrows. When Lord Shiva was fully equipped in this way, he sat down on the chariot with his arrows and vowed to fight with the demons. My dear King Yudhishthira, the most powerful Lord Shiva joined the arrows to his bow, and at noon he set fire to all three residences of demons and thus destroyed them. Seated in their airplanes in the sky, the inhabitants of the higher planetary systems beat many pentagrams. The demigods, saints, pitas, siddhas, and various great personalities showered flowers on the head of Lord Shiva, wishing him all victory, and the apsaras began to chant and dance with great pleasure. O King Yudhishthira, thus Lord Shiva is known as Tripurari, the annihilator of the three dwellings of the demons, because during his dwellings to ashes, being worshipped by demigods, headed by Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva returned to his own abode. The Lord Krishna appeared as a human being, yet he performed many uncommon and wonderful pastimes by his own potency. How can I say more about his activities than what has already been said by great many persons? Everyone can be purified by his activities simply by hearing about them from like source.
So we're looking at verse GY 64. Devo Suryo Naronyobha
Devo Suryo Naronyobha
Nishvaro Stiha Kaschana
Nishvaro Stiha Kaschana
Atmanon Yasya Bhatishtan
Atmano Nyasya Vadishtam
Devina Ohitum Dvaiho
Devena Ohitam Mayo.
Devo Surya Naronyobha. Thank you.
Nishvaro Stiha Kaschana
Atmano Nyasya Vadishtam
Atmano Nyasya Vadishtam Devana Ohitam Mayo. Devo Surya Naronyobha Nishvaro Stiha Kaschana Atmano Nyasya Vadishtam Devena Ohitam Mayo. Devo Surya Naronyobha
Neshvaro Srihadarshana
Atmano nyasavadishtam
Atmano Nyasavadishtam Daiveno Puhitam Dvaha
Devena Pohitam Dvayo
Devo Suro Naronyo Va
Devo Suro Naronyo Va
Neshwara Stiha Kashana
Neshvaro Srihadarshana
Atmano Nyasya Vadishtam
Atmano Nyasavadishtam
Devena Apohitam Dvayo
Daivena Puhitam Dvayo
Devo Ashro Naronyo Va
Devo Suro Naronyo Va
Neshwaro Sthita Kashana
Neshvaro Srihadarshana
Atmano Nyasya Vadishtam
Atmano Nyasavadishtam
Devena Pohitam Dvaha
Daivena Puhitam Dvayo
Devo Suro Naronyo Va
Devo Suro Naronyo Va Neshvaro Srihadarshana
Atmano Nyasya Vadishtam
Atmano Nyasavadishtam Dvaivana Puhitam Dvayo
Devaha.
The demons Naraha Humans Anyaha
or anyone else.
or anyone else
Va,
Either
Na,
Not
Ishvaraha,
Ishvaraha
the supreme controller.
The Supreme Controller
Asti,
Asti
is,
Iha
Iha, in this world.
In this world
Kaschana,
Karshana
anyone.
Anyone
Atmanaha,
Atmanaha
one's own. Anyasya, another's. Va, either. Ishtam, destiny. Daivena, which is given by the Supreme Lord. Apohitam, to undo. Dvayaho, of both of them. Translation. Mayadana said, let's read it together.
Mayadana said, what has been destined by the Supreme Lord for oneself, for others, or for both oneself and others, cannot be undone anywhere or by anyone, whether one be a demigod, a demon, a human being, or anyone else.
Emperor Portfresh Divine Grace AC, Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki
Jai.
The Supreme Lord is
One. Krishna.
the Vishnu Tattva. Krishna expands himself into the Vishnu Tattva, personal expansions. Swangsha, who
Rise. Steers. Drift.
controls every
Thing.
Mayadana said, however I plan, you plan, or both of us plan, the Supreme Lord has planned what is to happen. No one's plan will be successful without his sanction. We may make our own various plans, but unless they are sanctioned by the SPG,
Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna. Vishnu. Narayana.
they will never be successful. Hundreds and millions of plans are made by all kinds of living entities.
But
Without the sanction of the Supreme Lord, they are
Fail.
Failure.
Futile.
Futile. Hare Krishna. Lights. Thank you. Okay, plans appears to be the theme. So we hear about Mayadana and that he was kind of a rascal, and the interesting narrative that we had gone through just now indicates that you've got to cooperate with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Have you heard the joke before? What makes God laugh?
Telling you.
Your plans. Yeah. So, however, if you plan for pleasing the Supreme Lord, then it's another emotion that comes out of it. At least it's a smile, it's a heart warmer, right? So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj explained that it's all about cooperation. Yeah, it's all about cooperation. And aligning your plans with the plans of the Supreme Lord. And what's the other saying about plans? Plan to fail.
For those who fail to plan to fail.
Yeah, for those who fail to plan to fail. Okay? So demons also plan, demigods plan, but some people don't. You know? So I'm not sure which category that belongs to. If you don't plan, it just means you're in one of the three gunas. Which one?
Ignorance.
Yeah, exactly. Tamaguna, mode of ignorance. Those two energies are there. And devotees, or anybody who's interested in making spiritual progress, should be keen to act in goodness and to make some kind of plans. That is bhakti. The Bhagavatam is all about how to connect with the Supreme Lord through planning, in alignment. Have you ever driven a car? How many people drive cars here? How many people have driven? Okay. How many people don't drive cars? I don't. Okay. But I used to. Okay. And sometimes you have a wheel alignment problem. You're going down the 401 and everything's just going against someone. You're veering to the right or you're veering to the, what's going on here? That means there's a mechanical problem. And then you have to plan to fix the problem, okay? So it's all about planning. Every day, devotees have to plan. You may have a plan set out for you by your authority, if you will, or somebody who's engaging you, but still within the realm of planning by someone else, you still have to plan. You still have to make good judgment on Desha, Kala, Patra. What is Desha?
Time, place, and circumstance.
Desha is time, place, and
Desha is
Country.
place.
what is
Place.
place? The Kala
Is
Time.
and
Circumstance.
Desha Kala. Yeah, Desha Kala. What circumstance?
Paristhiti.
Huh?
Paristhiti.
Oh, anybody know it? Desha Kala.
Patra.
Patra.
Yeah, right, okay. That's, if you're writing notes, these are good terms. Srila Prabhupada did a lot of planning, and it was always based on Desha Kala Patra. Let's give some examples of how Prabhupada was kind of like flexible, and how he also was, let's say, ready to shift paradigms. When Prabhupada came to start the movement, and he came to the West, he wasn't so sure as to what would be the response. But he did plan to follow the plan of his guru, or the wish of his guru. So that was the first start. Are you okay? Okay. Yeah. But his Guru Maharaj had asked him, go to the English-speaking countries, or let's go to the West. And Prabhupada decided that New York would be the best place, the most important city in the world at that particular time, probably still is. And so for him, that meant, how am I going to get there? He had to think, how will I get over the ocean? And it was kind of taboo for sadhus to leave India and go somewhere else and enter the land of the Malechas. Okay? Well, it's not a nice word, but in the Greek language, they have a word maleka, and it means like sort of non-refined kind of human being. It's the same thing. But Prabhupada transcended that, and he decided, I will go over the ocean. And he met with a very nice lady. She was a businesswoman from Mumbai, and her name was BhaktiMarga. Have you ever seen pictures of her?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. I had the good fortune to see her on a plane from Kolkata to Mumbai in 1978, the first year I went to India. Can we get a picture of her?
Yes.
Okay. And so I looked through her picture was somewhat kind of like it was going around in the ISKCON circles, you know? And we didn't have computers, we didn't have screens like this, but her picture was getting around. There she is. Well, here she is.
Yeah.
And she did the famous line, Swamiji, you're too old, and America is too cold. So she was discouraging him. There she is. And because I had seen pictures of her, when I was in the plane to Mumbai, I said, isn't that that lady that was so kind to Prabhupada? So Prabhupada had a plan, and some of our Canadian devotees met with her, and she invited us to her place. Now, I was sick as a dog, because that's what happens when you go to India, sometimes. Not all times, but sometimes. And the devotees were invited to her home, and she had a julan, which is quite common, you know, for Gujaratis or anybody in Mumbai. They all have a swing, right? You know? So she sat in the swing, and she told our devotees, because they relayed the information to me, that Swamiji used to sit on this julan, you know? And of course, Prabhupada had an intent, and that was to plan to go over the ocean and to go for a free ticket on an ocean liner called the Jaladuta. Has anybody seen pictures of the Jaladuta?
Yes.
Okay, there's a famous black and white picture of the Jaladuta. Do you know where that's docked? Vancouver, British Columbia,
Oh,
Canada.
really?
Yeah, that's right. One of our devotees looked it up and found that that the ocean liner was docked at the bay in somewhere in Vancouver. So in Canada, woo!
So it's still there? It's still there? It's
The
still docked
Jaladuta?
at, it's still docked at, yeah, Jaladuta. It's still
No,
docked
no,
at
no. It was docked there on a journey or a ship. If it was, then we grabbed it.
Yeah.
We put it in a museum somewhere. All right. So there it is, the Jaladuta. Not quite as big as the Titanic, but it's pretty handsome, it's pretty big, and Prabhupada was on that ship. And his plan was to go to the West, English-speaking countries. And New York was the place. So as you all know, it ended up in Boston at the harbor, and then Prabhupada was at the pier for, just a few hours, 3-4 hours, something like that, before it moved on to see Mataji. You know.
Statue of Liberty.
The Statue of Liberty. Give liberty, you know, for Prabhupada to give liberty. So when he was there at the pier, just a few pastimes, he was looking at this steel tower, and it was, because in Boston there's some steel manufacturing that goes on there, maybe still does, and it was an unalloyed steel. So what is unalloyed? It means not mixed with other metals. It's pure steel, like stainless steel. I remember when I first came to the movement, and you know, sannyasis or temple presidents, they were eating off of steel plates. Ooh, okay, because it was clean, it's pure, it's not contaminated, not like plastic or something like that. And so anyways, Prabhupada looked at that, and he was trying to understand a little bit that definition of that. So since that time, he used in his writings unalloyed, pure devotional service. That's where it comes from, Boston. See how a great devotee can pick up on little nuances here and there, messages, you know, whether it's words or imagery. He did that, and so to Boston he went, and then finally to New York, and then he started his mission. And his plan was to, let's say, go then to Butler, Pennsylvania, How many people have gone to Butler, Pennsylvania? Oh, because you don't have your PR, most of you, okay. When you get your PR, we'll take you there. Because on your way to New Vrindavan, there's Butler, Pennsylvania, and it's really special. So when I was there recently, I was just sitting on the side. I was doing an hour-long class with South Africa. It was at 1 p.m. And one lady came to me, "Excuse me, but who are you?" And this is all live in the middle of the class. So, well, I'm a monk, and I'm giving a class. And I said, "What denomination are you?" And she went on like that. And we just had a dialogue. It was all totally organic and spontaneous. And the devotees in South Africa were just seeing firsthand what it's like to be on a street in America, and then get a full-on, like the Americans can be very, let's say, spontaneous, you know? And they're, like Canadians are more reserved. We're like a reserved Americans. But Americans are a little more louder, a little more bold, and you know, that kind of thing. So there's advantages to that. So we had a little chat, and I gave her my card and everything like that. And then right after that was finished, so the devotees were blown away in South Africa, you know, because I spoke a little bit about our philosophy. And then, I hope it's saved, it's precious. And then a guy in a wheelchair came, "Hey," you know, and he said, "Hare Krishna," you know, like he knew. And again, you know, I took my phone and I filmed him, and the exchange, "Come on over so we both got on the screen." Now this was not planned, since we're talking about the theme of planned versus not planned. I mean, if you just plan everything all the time, and you don't have any adventure, there's no fun, right? So like if you go for a walk, you don't know who you're gonna meet, you don't know who you're gonna greet, but it's always a great experience, you know? But planning is important. Let's get back to that. Prabhupada planned to them, I mean, when he was born, the astrologer said 108 facilities, centers, temples. Remember that? The astrologer said that before he passes on. And that's exactly the count. So he had ideas to go all over to the Western world and try to establish Krishna consciousness. And not only that, but back to his homeland, India. And he had a plan. You know what his plan was? Let me take some of those disciples, the Westerns, the white kids, the white boys in particular, bring them over to India, and everyone in India who felt for quite some time, some decades, that we are an inferior people, you know, because, you know, we had Christians ruling India, and we had Muslims ruling India for hundreds of years, and people from India felt very like coy or very coward. But they would cower. There was oppression there. And so Prabhupada thought, let's bring some Americans over to India, and then people will re-look at their own tradition, their own Dharma, whether it's Hindu Dharma or Vedic Dharma, you know. And you know what? This plan worked. Because in Mumbai, let's go back to Mumbai, they organized these big marquees, you know, pandals, and people came and they listened in the thousands, every day, thousands of people. And people were just in amazement that one of their Swamis from India could shake up the lives and influence people, you know, from America, because America led the world. Here's another plan by Prabhupada. He was in a car. This is in one of those ambassador cars. And it was like, you know, it was an American car. Actually, it was an American car. And the horn wasn't working. So Prabhupada took another plate, thali, probably stainless steel, unalloyed, and he had a spoon, and he banged it, dang, 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 dang. He put his arms up, dang, 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 dang. So this way, people knew a car was coming, and they moved off the road. And then Prabhupada made a remark, because this is an American car, people now in India will follow You know, what the Americans do, they'll now take a plate and bang it, because the horn is not working, or even if the horn is working. So Prabhupada's plan he was so innovative and very creative, yes. So anyways, the plan worked to get people to start re-looking at their wonderful, rich culture. And it worked, as I said. Then of course, there was some suspicion that these Americans are members of the CIA, and you know that there were some, you know, the we were under suspicion. A movie came out, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, and it portrayed devotees as smoking dope and being on drugs, which is what we don't do. That's what we don't do. And then the devotees said to Prabhupada, we're very concerned about this. It's giving us bad public relations. And Prabhupada said, no problem, they're saying Hare Krishna. A news article came out in Chicago, and Srila went to the temple president. This is a few years later. He said, Prabhupada, look at, there's some bad, you know, reporting here. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare, all over the place, you know. And then Prabhupada said, it was not so bad. Krishna's name is all over these articles. You know, he was an optimist. Okay. So his plan was like that. Now, I want to tell you something about my own experience. How people have changed their minds and their hearts about the essence, the indigenous culture of India. When I used to go on the street here on Yen Street, 1973, there were very few immigrants from India at that time. It's very different from now. And anybody that I would meet, they would, obviously I'm somebody from India, but you know, this is getting a little bit too late for them. And then they'd be shy. They'd actually be scared, you know, because they didn't know what to make of us. And they were a little bit ashamed, let's say, I'll put it, to be honest with you. You know, I don't read minds, but you can tell by people's physical reactions how they felt. This is 1973, I'm going back to. Okay, so let's fast forward. I went to India with Dharma Prana Prabhu, and this was maybe in the early 90s or something like that. And we took you to South India in the train. Remember how nobody gave us a seat? It was very difficult. And we went to South India, we went to Kerala, and it was Sunday morning, and the whole country was dead. Only a few birds were chirping. And I asked the temple president, oh, by the way, the temple that we had bought was a haunted house. It had a reputation of being a haunted house. The devotees didn't care. They moved in, bought it, and they just chanted Hare Krishna, and they figured the ghosts would go away. I don't know about that part, whether they left or whether they stayed, because chanting is so nice, ghosts just might stay and feel like chanting. Okay, so anyway, you know, it was really interesting. I said, what's happening here? I asked the temple president, I said, well, everyone is watching the Ramayana on TV. There was like Ramanand Sagar, you know, the director, you know, I guess. He saw everyone, and India just stopped. And who's watching? The Hindus, the Christians, the Muslims. Everybody is watching, the Buddhists. Everybody's, because it was so appealing, it was so rich, you know, so vibrant, and so much, everything's there, you know, politics and romance and intrigue and fighting and, you know, let's say, nonsense in the palace. All those kind of things. Everything's there that's rich, and then once in a while a sadhu comes in there and does something holy, and you know, everything's there for the audience. So what happened at that time is that you can say, you know, a Hindu pride surged the globe. What I mean to say, people are now feeling proud of their culture because of such a great portrayal of one of the epical, you know, glories of India, the Ramayana. And so the things that have changed, and since then, such large immigration. We were still, I'm talking about the 90s, the late 80s, we were dealing with anti-cultists. We were dealing with deprogrammers. You have to understand how difficult that was. they had planned to destroy us, but we planned to, I'm talking about planned to defeat them. So we would bring in, there were a lot of sessions held at the University of Toronto. Rabbi Silverman was one of them, from the Jewish community. He and his people brought in these speakers who were against cults, and we're supposed to be a cult. Well, we've been around 1 billion people believe in Krishna on the planet, and it's been around. It's older than Buddhism, it's older than Christianity. It's the oldest thing going on. But people are kind of naive, they don't know. So we were there to inform them, and actually we had to bring in some of our Indian devotees to come in with a little bit of an antagonistic attitude towards these speakers. And I remember one time, our members, Ramananda Roy was one of them, we all came around, they all surrounded this one guy who was speaking against, different faith groups, and ours is included. And he got a little intimidated, and I was so happy. That we had an army now. And we were trying to prove, at least in this part of the country, that we're not brainwashed. Well, let me take that back. Prabhupada was brilliant. People were saying we're brainwashed. And Prabhupada said, your brains are full of stool. So your brains need to be washed. So we were washing them. Okay? And then there was a thing about mind control. And what do we say to that? Well, we're supposed to control our minds. That's what yoga is all about. So the world was becoming more flavored with different, flavors like vanilla, pistachio, mango, this and that, And when it came to people, same thing, And Toronto in particular, the what do you call that place there in New York, where all the countries are meeting together.
United Nations?
United Nations.
United Nations, yeah, the flags keep increasing, Prabhupada used to say. So the United Nations declared that Toronto is the most multicultural city in the world, and it still holds that title. So it's nice now people are saying, there's lots of brown folks, and they believe in Krishna and Vishnu, and people being taught in school about the comparative religions, And so in this way we were gaining some traction, And to this day, when I go downtown, 25% of the people I see are young guys on their bicycles, making deliveries. And they stop and they see me and they say, Isko? Hare Krishna? Namaste? Like that. Sometimes I beat them to it. So that's how there's been change. Now, Prabhupada had a plan, and that is to change the world. And it was also in line of thinking with what God wanted. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, it's right there in the documents of the Chaitanya Charitamrita that in every town and village the name of Krishna would be heard. Krishna's going to get around. And that's God's plan, Prabhupada's plan. Prabhupada aligned himself with his guru. His guru aligned himself with Krishna. And so this is what we got now. There has to be some plans. Have to have some vision, as to how things are going to look. I just want to paint a picture for you, Bruce, or maybe I can ask you. What do you think Canada is going to look like in 10 years from now in terms of spirituality? Well, maybe to be more specific, in terms of Krishna consciousness. What do you think it's going to look like? Do you have an idea? Just, if you have something you want to say, put up your hand. Yes, please.
It's going to go from strength to strength. Like when we started here, Bhakti Academy, there were, few number of youngsters. Now so many young people, and it's expanding. And you are traveling and inspiring so many people, so many new temples coming up. So the whole landscape of Canada will definitely be changing in terms of spirituality.
Thank you for that vision. Thank you for the reinforcement. Anybody else?
Yes, opening up more temples and covering all the provinces, more cities.
That's right. In fact, yeah, I've been invited to Nunavut, which is way up north, and I'm definitely planning to go there. I am planning to go to Nunavut, and hopefully we can do something there, stake our identity, our flag there. Yeah, and if you want to join me, let me know. You can only pay my ticket. Yes, how do you see Krishna in the future?
Can I use
Yeah, sure.
because
Yeah,
нету квалификации знаний в этом, я в английском не чувствую.
So his English is not so good, I'll translate.
But I don't have qualification in science, but for the team,
okay.
so I speak Russian too. Я же думаю, что возможно продвижение языком это те люди, которые следуют этому. Я думаю, что если знать там по шагу, определенно смогу это делать, если не сами. То есть другие люди будут повышать свой, повысить уровень сознания, тогда будет проще это все.
He thinks that the people that are already following ISKCON will be able to elevate their consciousness more higher, and that they will be brighter, and it will be easier for the other people to notice their Shakti and to be more motivated to follow them because of this higher energy that they have. And it will invite more people and more motivation.
Because I think it's only a question about, it's not mentality, not positivity, because we have five, so when we talk, you can understand, because this is not triguna inside material world, this is, I forget how to say it.
Yeah. Well, that's good. I think you express yourself very well. Anybody else have a vision of what's going to look like in 10 years from now? Or just nice and quick.
When we read books, we listen to Krishna, we pray Krishna. There is just like today I asked you a question and you mentioned there is vibration. And the vibration would affect people around us. And when they see that positive vibration around us, they would also feel positive. And they would ask how you are positive in even worse situations. And when that gives them motivation, they would join. And when they would join, there would more people, they would bring, it's like a cycle that keeps on going. And at one point of time, it would never stop and it would be like all brainwashed.
Yeah, everyone will be. So do you see that there will be books everywhere available, Krishna conscious literature?
Yes.
You see there will be centers all over the place?
Yes.
Do you see that some people have shaven heads and tila?
Yes.
Well, the guys. Some of the girls do, fashionable. And, there will be prashadam everywhere. People might be going to, is this prashadam? Is this not prashadam? I'm not going to take it. High court judges will be having tilak on. All those kind of things. There will just be temples everywhere, and in the interior of people's houses will be pictures of Krishna everywhere. Or you just even say young people at school, they'll just say, hey, do you know that Krishna is really cool? I can see it happening. I can see it. Well, 30 years ago, I wasn't quite sure, but I can see it taking shape now. It's going to happen. It's going to happen, and I wouldn't have believed it, but it's there. But to make this a reality, you have to plan, okay? So just like when we have devotees who are saying, can I see the clock? Yeah, okay, thank you. Whoever's been assigned to arrange for the Harinam program, it takes planning, right? What is required for going out in the street or in the park and making the Sankirtan a reality? What do you need?
Books,
Books, what else?
people,
People,
State of mind.
instruments.
good state of mind.
Planning of which route we'll take.
Which route you'll take, yes, and where you will go, which park, or indoor, outdoor, what else?
And answer fruits and enthusiasm.
Okay, enthusiasm, okay, hyping yourself up, getting the right mindset to do these things, yeah. So everything takes this kind of planning, for anything that we do to please Krishna. And just like, many of you will end up, as grihastas, and there's nothing wrong with that. And even for that, you have to plan. For those of you who come here from outside of Canada, there's a plan, right? You plan something out with your parents, right? And so it's, and even to be part of the Bhakti Academy, you have to plan, when will I join? You have to call Vishaka and find out, I'd really like to join there, it's a great program. And then she'll say, okay, well, we're starting a new season, whatever you will. And so you just have to plan to get out of your apartment and to move into the temple, right? That's all about planning, And, but you have to have a little fun, and you let the adventure comes in. You're not quite sure how everyone's going to react to your plans, but nevertheless, plans must be there, okay? So, because we're running out of time here, I just wanted to say that thank you all for listening and planning to come to this class today. And we have someone who plans, who gives the classes, right? We have a scheduler. Who's that? I don't even know.
Vishaka.
Vishaka, okay. Right, and so that everything, these things go on. This was planned. The floor that you're sitting on, someone planned this design, this stuff. Everything's about planning. Now, all you have to do is just do it all for Krishna, okay? And then your plans will come out to be something really well done. The famous verse that people love to hear from chapter 3, does anybody know it? It says karma is there quite a few times. Do your duty, you're not entitled to results, but you are entitled to do your duty. Be attached to duty.
Nivadikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma phala karma hetu bhurmatostanga akarmani.
Okay, all right, good. Look that one up. What is it? 3? 3? Okay. You're right. 324. The 4, does it look like this? Does it look like this?
No, it's not 324.
Okay, while he's looking, I would say for homework, learn this, okay? Because it's really kind of captured the essence of our particular mindset. Right? Well, you cannot know the results of what you're up to, but you can know that you must plan and commit to your dharma, your duty, your psychophysical, natural duty, responsibility. Prescribed duties, Prabhupada always use that term. Prescribed duties.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it is chapter 2. Are you okay?
Yes.
2,
47.
47. Can we remember that one?
Yes.
Okay. Now we don't have so much time, but are there any questions or comments? Before we plan to have breakfast. Don't even have to plan, it just happens automatically. Our cooks are so great, you just go and sit down and someone posts through the door with one of those trolleys and all the prasada comes out. And everyone is in their heart, yay. Yes?
Marge, so I started university, I had my entire life planned out. I had like the next 5-6 years of my life planned out, and then during COVID, everything kind of fell apart. And so it got to a point where I was really afraid of making any sort of plans. But I really like what you said today. You said that it's like I have to make a plan. I can't not make any plans, but I just have to do it for Krishna. And so it sort of like makes me feel a little bit better that I can still make plans, but I just have to do it for Krishna. So thank you for that.
Yeah, you can make your plans to go down the highway, and what if it's blocked off and you have to detour? No choice but to detour, right? So, I mean, that detour could be a real adventure. I've never been down this road before. It's quite nice, right? So Krishna says, on an adventure, be ready, have a plan, and maybe it won't work out. But if it doesn't, then, be ready for the reverses of life, that Prabhupada explains. Be ready for something good, something bad. Thank you. Anybody else?
Reflections? Looks like if we're too serious about our plane, too attached to it, God will laugh about it.
Yeah.
But it is way better to have something
Yes,
planned, proposed, rather than nothing.
that's right. Do something, but do keep in mind that there's an ultimate doer. You are not the doer. Right? Hare Krishna. Anybody else? Yes.
Like you mentioned about alignment, Maharaj. Alignment is very much important when it comes to words, thoughts, mind, and same goes with Shastras and aligning yourself with Guru and Krishna.
Definitely. There are some strong goals that we have to establish yet. Do plan, by the way, you don't have to plan to die, okay? That's gonna happen automatically. And then following that, don't plan to take birth again, because it will happen, okay? Unless if you're one of those angels that... So there are certain things that we can be guaranteed, there's, what did they say? There are certain things that we're certain about, sure of, death, and what's the other one?
Taxes.
Taxes, yeah. You have to pay your taxes. Even under Maharaj came in to Mathura to pay his taxes. So you have to pay your taxes, and you will die. Okay? No guarantee. No guarantee on anyone whether we're going to reach old age. Most of us will be ill with something. Perhaps some of us are right now. But there are certainties. And so you can't plan, like Hiranyakashipu, I'm planning not to die. And that's kind of a laugh in itself. That's the biggest joke. Really? Anything else? Okay, so thank you so much for coming to the class today. I really appreciate it. And let's